For tuning in today for Partners of Scott County Watershed's first ever grant programs webinar. And my name is Cassie Druhl, and I am the coordinator for Partners of Scott County Watersheds. And then with me today is Kay Stefanik from Iowa State University's Iowa Nutrient Research Center. I'm going to present a little bit about Partners of Scott County Watersheds later in the day, but we are a nonprofit organization whose mission is to improve the stewardship of Scott County watersheds through education, technical guidance, and volunteer opportunities. Ways that we do this are through monthly educational forums, as well as volunteer water quality monitoring, and then special workshops like today. Kay, would you like to share a few words about the Iowa Nutrient Research Center before we get started?
Sure, thank you. So my name is Kay Stefanik. I'm Assistant Director of the Iowa Nutrient Research Center. For those of you who are unaware of what we do, we were created in 2013 by legislation passed by the Iowa legislature. Our purpose is to promote a science-based approach to evaluating the performance of current as well as emergent nutrient management practices and providing recommendations on implementing and developing new practices. And we, our main program is a grant funding program where we distribute money to researchers at Iowa State University, University of Northern Iowa, and University of Iowa to conduct research on these nutrient management and nutrient reduction practices.
All right, thanks, Kay. We are going to get started with our first presentation in a moment. I just wanted to let everyone know that's tuning in today. You can see the schedule of events today, and then you also should have received the schedule in your email. So you are welcome to attend all the programs today, or if you need to step out for a while and return, or there's just certain programs that you want to see, you can click that same link that you received in your email to go in and out of the Zoom. Also, everyone is going to be muted during the presentations except for the presenter. So if you have questions, please hover the bottom of your Zoom screen and you should be able to see a chat button where you can type in your questions for any of the presenters, and I will read those questions to the presenter at the end of their presentation. Also, this whole morning will be recorded, so we will be able to share this on our YouTube channel as well as email it to the participants of the day. So we'll go ahead and get started with our first presenter. Jennifer Turner is the new District Conservationist in Davenport. She was in Jackson County for 5 years as the Soil Conservationist. She grew up on a farm in Indiana growing corn and beans and some calves and pigs for butchering. She currently lives on a farm in northern Jackson County growing corn and hay and has a 70 cow-calf herd. She will talk about the cost share programs that the NRCS and SWCD offices have available for water quality improvement projects. And with that, I will let Jennifer begin her presentation.
Good morning, I'm Jennifer Turner, and I hope you can see this all right. My first time trying this new technology way of doing things.
Looks great, Jennifer.
I'm Jennifer Turner. I'm the District Conservationist here in Scott County. I just started in March, but don't let that scare you. I have 5 years of experience up in Jackson County, Iowa, dealing with a lot of different things, but I'm enjoying it down here in Jackson County because there's a lot of variety and I get to deal with a lot of urban stuff, farmers. It's a great county. Scott County is a great county. So we have different funding sources. And our office address is at Hillendale Road. It's right across from the Love's truck stop, in case you've never been here. And our office contains multiple agencies, which is kind of different for this kind of, we have a partnership with the Natural Resources Conservation Service, which is federal, the Iowa Department of Agriculture, which is a state, the Scott County Soil and Water Conservation District, which is county, and the Farm Service Agency, which is also a federal agency. So we have lots of different funding sources, and don't get hung up on the top of the title where it says, you know, whether it's federal, it's state, or county, because if you come into our office, we're going to help you try to find the best funding that we can find for you. So just know that there are a lot of different things that we can do to help you. So if you have erosion control issues, you have a gully cut out in your farm field, if you have a forest and you want to improve that forest for generations to come, or you have pasture where you know that if you maybe cross fence that you could rotational graze, and don't think it's only for cattle. We could work with sheep, llamas, alpacas, lots of different type of animals. And then we also have farmstead practices like that we will cover here in just a minute. So we don't just work with just large farmers. We can work with any type of, you know, big, small. If you have just like a hobby farm, we can work with all of everyone. So we do like grassed waterways, a water and sediment control basin, cover crops, no-tills, forage planting. If you need a structure on your farm because you have, as it goes into a stream or a ditch, it's cutting a giant gully and it's cutting back into your field, we can help with that also. A lot of our funding is kind of a 50% cost share rate. It's not covered completely. It's more of a 50% cost share. So then there's new ones that are the denitrifying bioreactor and saturated buffer, which help keep the nitrates out of the water system. So if you're close to a ditch or a stream, you could put in one of these and it would help keep the nitrates from going into the surface water, which then helps it keep out of the groundwater, which could be your drinking water. So these are important new things that we have. Your forest. So big, small, you have some forest and you want to improve it for hunting or for your generations to come. So you want to improve it. So come see us and we can help you with getting a forest management plan, which then sets into motion. You tell the forester that's writing the plan how you would like to improve your forest and work out a schedule of things that you could do to improve your forest. Maybe you want to do a big bunch at one time, or you want to do a small manageable for you section, and you'll work with your forester and come up with a management plan that fits your needs. We will cost share on that. Then once you get your plan, we can do forest stand improvement or any of the things that you put into the plan. Or if there's certain things you want to leave out, we can also do that. Tree planting, preparation for trees, improving your forest, cutting down the grapevines and calling out the trees that aren't valuable. And then we do pasture practices. Prescribed grazing, which would be rotating your animals. We can put in fences, temporary fences or permanent fences. And if you need water out there, we can do a pipeline out to the animals into a temporary watering tank that you can move around or a permanent tank. If you have weeds and brush out there, we have programs to help cost share for getting the weeds sprayed or the brush removed. It doesn't have to be spray. You could get paid for mowing it. A stream bank protection. If your stream bank is eroding out, you can get stream bank protection. There's different types of that. We've done a stone toe, which is just kind of directs the water away from that stream bank. Or we've also done ones where we rock up the stream bank and move them out. And then there's practices for your farmstead, an energy improvement plan. So this doesn't cover your house, it would cover your farm buildings, but we would cover a pay cost share for a plan to have someone go through your machine sheds, your barns, and say, okay, well, we could improve the energy by doing some LED lights, or your lights around your buildings on your poles, they need to be LED. Your grain dryer needs to be updated so that it's more energy efficient. And then once you get your plan, just like the forest plan, you can implement the things that you and your plan writer have came up with. Then there's also high tunnels, which I think are really cool. High tunnels so you can plant earlier in the year and get your produce later in the year, so you can have a longer growing season. Compost facility where you put this would be more for a large cattle operation where you put your manure in a pile and have to keep stirring it to keep it so it composts properly. Or a waste storage facility where all the waste would just go into a storage facility, then be pumped out and spread on the fields. Pest and nutrient management plans, we can cost share on that. Windbreaker, a shelter belt. You have wind coming, or there's odors coming off your farm or coming off of another person's farm. We can plan a windbreak shelter belt, which would be helping keep the snow out. We have cost share for that also. So then we also have the Soil and Water District also has different types of funding. Like I said, don't get caught up on which agency in the building has the cost share. We will help you with any of it. So the Soil and Water Conservation District has 5 members of a board, which are commissioners, and they serve a 4-year term, and it's nonpartisan and it's not paid. But there's also opportunity for people, if you want to become an assistant or just want to sit in on a meeting, you could come and sit on it and find out how the board is run, and maybe one day you would like to be a commissioner. The employees that we have one, and she is funded by a grant. And we have applied for that grant and was able to get it so that we can fund an employee. They also have fundraising efforts that include a bare root tree sale and a native plant sale. And then year-round they sell plant skid, which is an organic deer rabbit repellent to keep them off your trees or your plantings around your house. And so this profit off of these fundraising efforts go to fund scholarships and educational activities. But they also have cost share in REAP, Forestry and Native Grass, or REAP Practices Fund, or State and County Cost Share Fund. So in one of the funds, the Forestry and Native Grass Fund, they fund windbreaks also, forest stand improvement, tree planting, tree site preparation, prescribed grazing, conservation cover, and fencing. Most of this is at a 50% cost share, but and then they also have the REAP Practices Fund, which is a lot of like the same federal practices, like grass waterways, structures, basins, water and sediment control basins, and many of the things. But sometimes it's a little easier to get in. If you don't get in the federal, we lots of times will just change your application to this if they have funding. Also on this, sorry, I'm going backwards. On this native grass fund, there's also urban projects that can be cost shared. Amy Bauska will be covering those at 9 o'clock. But there's a lot of native grass plantings or pollinator plantings that they cost share through this fund also. Or if you need some soil improvement around your house in town, that covers part of this. But Amy Bauschka will be covering more of that in more detail when she comes on at 9 o'clock. So then the state and county funding, they also do no-till, cover crops, critical area planting, which would be you have a place that it's eroding. Maybe you don't need a waterway, but you need some extra planting there to help keep the erosion away. A pasture and a hayland planting, where if you want to plant alfalfa for hay or renovate your pasture, there's also cost share for that. Then there's the FSA side of our building, the Farm Service Agency. They do a lot of things with farmers. This is just a small bit of what they do, which is called the Conservation Reserve Program, CRP. So if you wanted to put your whole farm into a pollinator habitat, this would be the agency where you would go to find out about that. So it's a contract for 10 years, and you're given a rental payment based on your soil type, where then you get cost share to plant your pollinator mix or your native grasses, and then you get this rental payment each year that you maintain this practice. You have to meet a cropping history. Like I said, there's whole field practices that, like native grasses or a pollinator, to improve the wildlife habitat. And you can decide, there's more than just planting native grasses and pollinator mixes. There's also things like shallow wildlife, which would be a shallow area, not enough to, it's not like a pond, it's shallow where ducks and frogs could live all summer. They'd have a little bit of water to live in there. And there's also a lot of other practices. If you would like to do something with your farm, take some of your cropland out of production and help out the wildlife, just come and see us and we will help you out there too with the CRP program. And that's it. Does anyone have any questions?
Thanks, Jennifer. Yes, if anyone has questions, please type them in the chat box at the bottom of your Zoom screen and I will read them to Jennifer. In the meantime, Jennifer, what would be the first steps that someone would take if they wanted to apply for this? Would they go to your office or do they have a form they can fill out?
Yes, coming to our office would be the best thing to do. And we also have a website. You could go to farmers.gov. There's the Soil and Water has a website. that you can go to find out more. And we can, you know, you can email me. Just email me and I will help you out I'll come and visit your farm to help you decide what is best for your farm. We're not a government or we're not a regulatory agency. We just try to help you.
All right, thank you so much. Once again, if you have questions, please type them in the chat. I'll give us a couple more seconds to see if any questions pop up. All right, well, I'm not seeing any questions for now, but Jennifer, thank you so much for presenting this morning, and thank you all to tuning in. Our next presentation will begin at 8:30 from the Iowa Economic Development Authority, and we will return in a few minutes. So thank you very much.